I've started talking to people about maybe coming on the podcast. Obviously, nobody who's like rich and famous or knows what the hell they're talking about.
I have been on the forum. I've been talking to Warren Buffett a bit. He's considering the idea. So we'll see. We'll see. Elon Musk also. I'm like, come on, we talk Dogecoins.
But Warren Buffett's so old. Does he know what a podcast is? Oh, I heard he reads podcast transcripts. So when he goes around talking about podcasts, he says, have you read this podcast? Robert and Kalyn Get Rich?
That doesn't surprise me. The thing I saw about him, it seems like he just sits in his office and reads all day, whether it's the paper or actuarial tables or whatever it is. That I think Warren Buffett has like Asperger's-ish. It certainly seems anybody who's that obsessed with compound interest from a very young age. The thing I saw about him, he was memorizing stats from the Farmer's Almanac, but he'd be like, I know that in 1963, the population of Omaha was 8,273, and I pull it up, and that's exactly what it was. His goal has always been to make tons of money, but you would not know it from how the guy lives. He doesn't do anything. He still lives in the same house that he bought with his first wife, before they had kids, in Omaha, which I think he said they paid $20,000 or $30,000 for it. The second wife every morning leaves him the amount of money he gets to spend at McDonald's on his breakfast. It's either like $1.83 if it's just the egg McMuffin, $2.07 if it's the middle option, and then $2.13. And every day he goes to McDonald's to get one of those three sandwiches, depending on which one his wife is. Of anyone on this earth, he could hire the McDonald's staff to come and make it at his house or whatever, but instead, the whole drive-thru people, they all know Warren Buffett personally at McDonald's because he goes every single day. Yeah. He drives himself. He's not in some fancy car, whatever. I don't even remember what he was driving. It was like a Lincoln or something.
The problem is it's not $1.83 on the counter anymore. It's $4.83 or something.
He doesn't get the meal. He just gets the sandwich because he has a Coke fountain at the office because he owns tons of Coca-Cola and that's what he wants to drink. And every day has that in the office.
That was an inflation joke. That went from $1.83 to... All right, fine. $3.63. Thank you, Joe Byron. And your Bidenomics. And with that, cue the theme music. You are tuned in to Robert and Kalyn Get Rich, a weekly podcast about money and life, where we talk about whatever we want to, loosely hung on the premise of investing and finance and getting rich. This is episode 7. It is May 21st, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Robert Kimmel. This is my sister and co-host, Kalyn Kimmel, and we are bound and determined to get rich. What we are not bound and determined to do is, Kalyn?
Give financial advice. Don't do anything that we talk about doing.
If you're foolish enough to listen to this, you will soon realize that this is not financial advice and you have no business listening to what we say. With that in mind, though, say that one more time.
Except for about chicken soup for the soul. That is the path to fortunes. From what
I am glad that you mentioned that. Although we don't provide financial advice, you are listening to two people that are crushing the S&P 500. Here is the Get Rich portfolio. We review it every week at the beginning of the show. Today we are down 2%, but we are up lifetime 3.62%.
Yes.
That is on the back of Chicken Soup for the Soul, which just said 19, but now says just under 18% up.
Man.
Total. Down 4.6 today. Our supporting acts are Novo Nordisk, which is up almost 7%, and Eagle Pharmaceuticals, which maybe has figured out how to put in their SEC file, but they are up 5%.
It is no thanks to Reddit.
Therapeutics MD is down almost 2%. And Reddit, yes, but these were in the 20s. But remember this number, 3.31. Remember this. Now let's go look over at the baseline. Total gain, 2.80. If we had invested in the same amount of money in the S&P 500 each of these days. Kalyn, we are crushing
Totally.
The S&P 500
knocking
crushing
it on its ass. What I'm talking about.
And we're doing it through picking the craziest and weirdest stocks somehow. The people who
that's true
are imminent threat of being delisted and so on.
They don't fire their entire staff and
yeah, I don't even know how those guys are listed at all, but Eagle Pharmaceuticals. But you're also talking to a guy who did all right with FFIE last week. So part of the meme stock craze. I'll just show FFIE's stock chart. This is the 5-day chart.
Yeah.
So really the 17th, that was Friday. So that's when the party was really going on. And the party came crashing to a halt, as you can see, in the afternoon. So I was in actually back on Wednesday evening. I was in at first at 91 cents, so back in this sort of range here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did really well, and then I lost a bunch, and I thought the party was over. And then I saw that the party was ramping back up again, and I put more in. So, Kalyn, my basic strategy was I was like, all right, we're going to put a little fun money in this, but also put in a series of stops. So basically it was like, all right, I'm in at 91 cents. I don't want to lose any more than 10 or 20%. So I'm going to put in a stop at, let's say, 75 cents, right? And then the price would ratchet up and all of a sudden it's $1.50. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to take some of my chips off the table. And so now I'm going to put in my stop at $1.30. So the price might go down. I'm not going to make all the money I've made so far. If you do this laddering strategy, the thing you can't do is then you can't go buy another slug at the higher price and also have that same stop. If you're in at $1 and then it goes to $2 and you buy the same amount at $2 and then your stop loss is at $1.50, your gains of the buck get wiped out by the losses of the $2, right? So finally, I figured this out. Like, you cannot do this, dummy. Like, put in a set amount of money, let it ride. And I finally did that. I did really well up to the peak here. I had a stop loss in, I think, at $3. So I clearly didn't enjoy every inch, but I got out at $3 and I made a couple $1,000 in an afternoon. You could do
nice.
Worse, so.
I actually did sell stock though, believe it or not.
What? Kalyn Kimmel, hit the Kalyn Kimmel sold music.
I know. Yeah, so because I bought some GameStop and I wanted out of that business and I did okay, lost money, but they bought it at the worst time. I only bought $12 worth. It's not too bad. But it was when it was at $53, which is very high. Right now it's at $20 stop is. So it was basically the peak. I decided to sell when I was like, okay, I think this is as good as I think it'll be. And it was at like $35. So I lost $5.
Meme stocks are tied to short selling because the whole point is a short squeeze, which means you got these investors they're short, so they're betting it's going to go down. They're being loaned these shares, they have to put up money as collateral. So the higher the price goes, the more money you have to put up in collateral. You run out of money, you're out of business. They drove that one fund into bankruptcy.
Wow, that's super interesting.
And then this thing was just triggered by somebody saying they were Roaring Kitty, or maybe Roaring Kitty himself, just like posting some pictures. And they're like, oh, Roaring Kitty's back alive. Let's fire this son of a bitch up.
A bunch of really weird esoteric posts by maybe Roaring Kitty, maybe someone else. I haven't heard anything from Roaring Kitty since to know if he got in on the GameStop action. But one of the images I sent you, this one, this guy sitting here, this one is relevant because apparently GameStop posted this picture, but the chair was blue or something, and so him posting the chair being the same image but with a different colored chair was letting us all know that it was on.
It's one of these, what is this world coming to? First dog whiff hat and now this. People are going to invest hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands because a guy posted a picture of a chair. Listen, I just made a fistful of money on FFIE. I'm very happy about it, but I have no idea why that was the stock that people went nuts on. Do you have any idea?
This was just like what people were talking up on Reddit. I don't know why.
We got to keep watching this and
putting
in our stop losses.
But you can't listen to the people too much because like everybody on there, of course, says to hold forever, right? Because it certainly benefits them if it's like, buy. Hey, Robert, throw all your money in now. I've already bought some. But you throw your money in and then we'll all hold until I sell, and then you have to sell at a lower price. Basically, I feel like it's everybody just stealing from everyone on there to a degree. I've created another Reddit account so that I can do the financial stuff on there and not have my usual puppies and car accident Reddit. I don't need that. I don't need that polluted with Wall Street bets and that stuff. I don't need Roaring Kitty to get involved in my kittens and car accidents that I watch right now. So I've been adding more and more subreddits. I feel like Wall Street Bets is definitely the biggest subreddit to talk about this stuff, but there's also like a Roaring Kitty subreddit, and I was on that a lot, and that's where there was a lot of talk of FFIE and GameStop specifically, and then BlackBerry, which I was like, oh, I happen to still own some BlackBerry from the last time that we did this stuff. Maybe it'll be great for me. But
I sold my GameStop after 3 days, but my BlackBerry I have 15 years later.
Oh no, GameStop, it was within 24 hours that I bought and sold. I was like, I don't want to do this. You guys can't have all of my $12. You can have 5 of my $12, but that's it.
Yeah.
So
that's how you don't get rich, by just giving away all of $12 at once.
That's right.
Really,
$5. Okay. It's a rough day.
I keep doing our limit orders and watching out for these crazy runs. And I'm absolutely not diamond hands hold guy. I'm putting in that limit order because you want to catch the crash. So I don't mind missing the peak by a little bit, by 10 or 20%, if I get 50% upside or whatever.
Yeah, see, with GameStop, it really just got me messed up because if I buy through Robinhood, then apparently it doesn't happen right away. And so, I did not think I was buying when it was at basically not the total peak, but pretty close to there. This is why I can't be a day trader. I'm just like, my timing is all messed up. And so
I feel like a day trader would have mastered their platforms on hand to be able to actually place orders and not have to wait for it to upload.
Only have $12 available. That's why I did that Robinhood with GameStop, because that's how much I had available to invest, was $12.07. And I was like, all of it. Put it in there.
Because if you'd had $100, you would have lost $50 instead of $5. Hey,
maybe, yeah.
All right. We were talking about your letter to Mountain Dew in the pre-show. You have a Mountain Dew letter to share.
Let's go to my sent folder because I already sent it.
So when did you send this? You got to read the date and time too.
Today at 11:31 a.m.
While we were talking about GameStop.
I wanted to add our email to it. So, but I had been online earlier, so I was on their site, and they have a product locator or whatever. So I was like, we'll see if I can get it in my area. And they're like, it's available at 12 stores. And I clicked on each and every one of them. It looks like there's a gas station that might have a 20-ounce bottle around. But it was like, Instacart has 3 ways you can get this. And I was like, oh, really? Let's get on there. I've never ordered on Instacart. That I love grocery shopping, so this doesn't appeal to me much. But I was like, fine, I'll do Instacart. And no, they don't have it either. Anyways, their product search thing, not so great. So they had a product complaint thing, which I filled that out. I filled out a product complaint, and they were like, do you still have the box? And I'm like, no, it's every box. And they're like, how many were affected? I'm like, unknown. I don't know how many different 12 packs of Mountain Dew Spark Zero. Anyways. And so I was like, the problem is that you took this off the market. Why? Why did you do it? Bring it back. I can't get it in Houston at all. Submit. And then they had suggestions, and my suggestion was, please bring Mountain Dew Spark Zero back to the Houston market. And so then the third way that I'm getting in touch is the email. Dear Mountain Dew makers, why have you forsaken me? I love Mountain Dew Spark Zero, and you have removed it from the Houston market. The only way I can get it now is if I order it online for $30-ish a 12-pack. This is a nightmare. While I love your delicious beverage, more than $10 for a 12-pack is outrageous. What can I do to convince you to bring it back to Houston? I want to be a loyal customer, but you're making it very difficult for me. As a side note, I have a podcast called Robert and Kalyn Get Rich, and we often talk about how wonderful Mountain Dew Spark Zero is. Definitely open to sponsorship if you would like to bring Spark Zero back. Thank you, Kalyn Gimmel.
Crushed it. I love it. So good. Crushed it. Oh my God.
Yeah. I just realized that it automatically signed after my signature, so it says, thank you, Kalyn Kimmel. Thanks, Kalyn. But, it goes. Yeah, they'll have 3 things from Kalyn Kimball. I put my address on everything. I put all of my info. My legit.
Oh, you're getting free stuff for sure. There's no
I
doubt
mean,
about
I'm
that.
better.
Yeah.
They really let me down.
Yeah.
I got on Amazon today and I was like, man, is $35 for 20 Mountain Dew Spark Zeros worth it? I'm thinking about it.
Even at our local Walmart, that'd be $15. So you're only paying a $9 premium with shipping.
Right. Yeah, but it's still too much to me. You know.
I 100% agree. Warren Buffett's wife would not approve of that.
Absolutely not.
She would have put 13 on the counter, and that's all you're allowed to spend on a 24-pack.
That's right. And I'd go to the grocery store and I'd buy beer and Dr. Pepper, I guess.
So those Mountain Dew letters give me so many jumping off places, and I'm not sure where to go next. I think the one that makes the most sense is I'll talk about the form that I filled out, which is for the lawsuit against Spirit Airlines.
Oh, yeah.
So I filled that out, and they sent me a thank you letter. Of course, they have to do that. But you fill this thing out, and then you get this screen, which I got a screen grab to show you. But this law firm, right, they basically, you can connect using SnapTrade, and you can connect your account. It tells you anytime they're suing one of the companies that you're invested in. Over on their page, they're like, check out our list of companies we're currently in proceedings with. They're suing Rivian, and they're suing, I don't even know, General Electric, a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Actually, I filled, because last episode we said we're going to fill it out and then tell them that they need to come on our podcast and explain themselves. Right. And so I did fill it out, but there was no opportunity. I just gave my name, number, and like how many dollars I lost, which I was like, I think I lost about $70 or something. Because by the time, the thing they were talking about was it dropped 11% from the earnings call. And I was like, hell, I'd already lost 65, 70% of my investment at that point. What was another 11% from there? It was nothing. So I think these cats, I think they just track every stock price. They probably have an automated thing that just says, all right, this one fell more than 10%. Launch, email everybody, and see how many people want to sign on to a class action lawsuit. I got to say, I have negative feelings about this. I'm no friend to the trial lawyer from prior experience. So I just feel like I'm coming from the perspective of people are trying to make an honest living, and here come the lawyers at every little thing. If there's like real fraud or something, fine. Lawsuit makes sense, but price goes down 11%. Come on, guys.
Basically, the whole premise is that they said, you projected better earnings than you had, so we're suing you, right? I feel like shit happens. Of course, you don't want companies to be like, we're going to make tons of money when they have no actual plans to do well or do anything of the sort.
But I got to say, there's just a fine line between manipulation and pumping your stock, basically. Right. Every CEO out there is going to go tell you, why is Coca-Cola the greatest? That's part of what they do. And where that crosses the line to I'm lying about how great the future is, or over-promising or whatever, I don't know where that line is.
But say, so when at Optum, my last role was outsourcing, basically, where we were globalizing, so laying off Americans that were in these jobs so that we could hire staff in India, Thailand, and other places. And so I should have known my days were numbered as the person heading up this project. But the woman who was spearheading this, like, many levels above me, this is what she does. Shows up to companies and slices and dices and any kind of savings, it doesn't matter. But the biggest irony to me was that this Optum had their like biggest revenue year they'd ever had by a comfortable margin the year before. And so it was like, what is the big push? They're like, we have to beat last year. And it's okay, there's only one way to do it because we've already gotten to be pretty freaking big. Like the 7th biggest company in the country, I think. You just have to start. You're like, okay, this staff member, usually in the United States, we pay them $45,000 a year. But if we get them in Thailand, we can pay them $30,000 a year for the same staff member. So let's do that. Let's do that hundreds of times over.
They publicly listed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Optum,
the pressure.
UHG.
The ticker symbol?
I think it's UHG.
UHG. So we should short UHG, short sell. This will be our first short sell.
The news. Optum announces plant closing and layoffs. Laying off 129 employees according to May 16th letter from Optum to the Rapid Resource Program Administrator. They're closing their facility that has given the WARN notice to... Oh, it's a telehealth. That was specifically a lot of the people that we were moving to India and Thailand. Because we all know that Americans love talking to people with heavy accents that don't speak English necessarily as their first language when they call in.
And need medical advice.
Yeah, but it saves us $10,000 a year per employee. So I'm like, at some point, doesn't this get bad for the American economy? We have a bunch of people losing jobs, right? Now we have all of these and I'm talking about thousands and thousands. I was overseeing something like in the 3,000 to 5,000 employees that were being globalized. We're not talking about doctors and some nurses, but mostly it's lower level folks. Then they're pulling unemployment, then they're not able to contribute to the economy in the ways that we all do, right? Like with our taxes from our income and by sales tax and all of that stuff. At some point, it turns bad for us if we just cut. I don't know.
They must have all gotten sucked up by the economy somewhere or another because the unemployment rate is still under 4%. And so maybe they all went and work in AI or crypto or something.
Yeah, I'm so annoyed with the unemployment. I don't know. This week I've gotten like 6 letters saying thanks but no thanks, which I hadn't gotten any in a while. I thought my applications are just going off into nowhere. They're all form letters that are just like, you've got great like skills and interest. We think you're fantastic. We've decided to go in a different direction. Whatever. And I'm like, cool. But yeah, I'm at a loss.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Our friend was like that. When you're like, wow, all I hear about is how low the unemployment rate is and everybody who wants a job should have a job. Here I am. I'm the one guy who can't find a job. So I mean, totally.
And I guess I can go work at McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
Those jobs I'm sure are available. I can be working at a gas station and live life on the edge because who knows when I'll get robbed. Maybe that's how I'll get rich is from somebody, I don't know, somebody robbing me and then I can sue them. Yeah.
Connect the dots a little better. This plan needs a little flushing out. Yeah. How we're going to get rich from the guy robbing us. We're going to have to workshop this one.
Yeah. How am I going to get rich from working in a gas station and getting robbed? I guess I could be in on it, right? I can watch the scratchers and know when people should buy the ticket. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah. I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah. That's like significantly underemployed. If I were to take one of those jobs, right? I'm still doing the Poshmark and stuff. I do have not a huge amount of income. Sadly, I have not found any more of those, like that leather suitcase that I did so well on. Spent $15, made $900.
So I didn't have anywhere better to put this in the agenda, but you know how I've been putting a ton of clips up on TikTok and things like that. And our podcast now is obviously on YouTube. So now if you go and you search Robert and Kalyn on YouTube, you get this.
What? Yeah, new different Kalyn and Robert.
Kalyn and Robert. So Kalyn and Robert are a married couple. Yeah. Spelled the exact same way. I watched some of this and they're like, we're going on this in vitro fertilization journey and we want the whole world to come with us, basically. So they started this vlog, as they call it. As you can see, this one's from 5 years ago. This one's wicked old. But yeah, they have a logo and now they got a chicken coop. 800 people watched them do this. Live birth 5,000, but they have 24,000 subscribers. I just thought it was crazy. Yeah. First of all, you don't run into that many Kalyns that are Kalyn, right? And then secondly, the fact one of the 12 Kalyns out there in the United States is married to a Robert. What are the chances of this? I know. It's amazing. Yeah.
Their one video, the bottom video was I have an STD, not clickbait. I'm like,
They got 126,000 people watch this saying goodbye to our little bug, the end of their foster care.
Oh.
I'm sure it's a tearjerker.
Not many people wanted to watch their wedding video, though.
That's boring stuff. We want to hear about STDs.
Yeah, when you say goodbye to the baby that you've been taking care of, then we can all cry. We'll watch that. And then if you get an STD, also interested.
Should I suffer through watching this 12-minute video about the STD and report back, or is this a dead end?
I don't mind watching it, actually. I had a misdiagnosis with this kind of same story, so it's interesting if Kalyn and I have the
you assume it's Kalyn with the STD, not Robert?
Oh, I thought it was... no, I don't know.
I have no idea. It says wait till the end. I suggest skipping to the end.
Yeah. The end's going to be like, I don't have an STD.
That was misdiagnosis. Yeah. And then you'll be like, that was clickbait. And then maybe that law firm, Levi and whatever, maybe we could sue them.
Yeah, first of all, you should not be saying it's not clickbait when it is clickbait. So I want compensation for the pain and suffering you have caused me.
So we got the law firm suing these guys, and we got the law firm suing the guy robbing you at...
That's right.
Last week, we said we were going to look at Warner Brothers Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
See what the heck was going on there.
I have some Crackle update, by the way.
Oh, forget Warner Brothers. That's boring. Let's talk about Crackle.
So I finally got it working more properly, and the layout is fine, but the ads are unbearable. So I was watching some strange deaths or some strange murders or something like that, whatever. It's like a 25-minute long show, okay? It's a dumb show also. Don't watch it. But they have 7 commercial breaks. The first commercial break, I think there's only 4, but some of the later ones have 8 commercials. And get this, for a while, 3 of them would be the same in a row for the Greenies, the dog food brand at Petco. And and you can't skip. I couldn't mute it for whatever reason. Whatever. My remote was missing. And so I was like, oh my God, I have to sit through. It's 3 minutes of commercials each time they stop. I was singing the Petco song. I'm like, anything for you. Because I watched the stupid commercial so many freaking times. The same commercial. It ends. They'll have the 30-second version, then they have the 10-second version, then the really long version, whatever. Same stupid commercial about dog food. And I'm like, man, you guys have no other sponsors. Why can't we just have one of these? I don't know. But
which marketing genius at Greenies thinks that Crackle is the platform to invest in?
They're like, put our money here. This is our target market for sure. Because the people who buy the fancy dog food, they're the people watching free streaming, really shitty options. They also will show previews for their in-house movies or whatever, and it's, oh my God. There was one that's, the premise is basically like this advertising lady cousin hangs out at a ranch, and the cowboys, I don't like her kind, whatever. Guess what? They're gonna fall in love, and they have the stupidest dialogue. Oh my God. At one point, she's like, I see now that there's more to life than working, or something like that. And he's, yeah, that's right, whatever. She's like, do you mind if I stay close? He's like, how close? And she holds his hand, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna get sick. I can't be exposed to that anymore. So I think that this has to be the end of my Crackle experience, because between the Greenies commercials and the 2-bit Hallmark.
So it's Hallmark, but shittier. And now remember, this is the premier platform for the value-conscious consumer, and they're selling Greenies to these people who are willing to suffer through commercials. Greenies, 36 in a box, $35.98, a buck a treat. The people watching 8 minutes of commercials are buying Greenies.
Yeah, because it gets pounded into your head. They're like, oh, Greenies, because the dog reacts when they say Greenies. This is how well oh my God. It makes me unhappy that I know this commercial as well. I know each different version of it too. I'm like, oh, is this the 90-second one? Okay. Then that means Pam's going to come up and be like, that's right. We do sell Greenies at Petco now. It's made from all the highest quality ingredients. I'm like, ah! They get home and they're sitting on the couch, and the dog hears them say, oh.
Oh my God, you suffered for your podcast here. You
That's
did
right.
your homework.
That's right.
Put this in your job applications. Tell them you're willing to go to any lengths to do a job. No.
Yeah. Within a 25-minute show, I will watch the same commercial 9 to 12 times for dog food.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful, Robert.
Maybe we should figure out, just like with Redbox, we should figure out who the hell owns and runs Greenies, and then see what they're...
If we can sue them. Pain and suffering here. The fact that I know that the guy's, oh, Greenies makes dog food? The dog gets up. She's, you mean Greenies? Oh, God. It makes me want to kill myself.
Your reenactments are very convincing. I can definitely tell that you have seen these commercials far too many times.
Yeah, to have the same commercial 2 to 3 times in a row, each commercial break. They only have 3 different commercials that they show, but they can have up to 8 commercials play in each break. So then they're the same. Oh my God. What are you trying to do? Why can't we just Get it going. It's out of control.
All while waiting to watch terrible programming.
Yeah, like the cheesiest. Oh yeah, it's something like Bizarre Murders or something like that, and it's just like the lamest.
It's hard to.
I watched like 7 episodes. Also, yeah, there's a reason I've got the Greenies commercial committed to memory, but I want to write them a letter, a strongly worded letter.
To Crackle or Greenies?
Both. Crackle. Try harder. Whoever wrote that script for the ad exec who's moving into the ranch or whatever, fire them for sure.
All right. You're writing 2 letters to Crackle and to Greenies. You're down for homework.
Dear Crackle, you failed. You are the worst. Dear Greenie, come up with more commercials because I am apparently going to be subjected to it over and over and over and over again when I watch Crackle, so I'd like there to be a little bit of variety. You guys make cat food?
And also, who's selecting the venues you're advertising on? Is that...
Right.
Do poor people spend this kind of money on their dogs? Is that the deal? It's like rich people that are like, take them out in the back and shoot them. And the poor people are like, give them Greenies. I don't know.
So I know that the girl that I lived next to when I was living at the studio, she was like 45 at the time and didn't have a bed for the first year that she lived there, right? Like, because she just had a mattress on the floor. And I was like, dude, like, I couldn't live there. Me and Ash were like too many in my apartment. Her same size. She had 2 cats and she got a dog. And I was like, this is a lot. She didn't have a car. She worked as a bartender 3 days a week. And she'd go to Whole Foods most days to buy her animals food. Not go to Kroger, which was closer.
Like at Whole Foods, you like pick them out with tongs and put them in a bag?
She'd just go and get a can or 2 because she'd have to ride her bike over there. But she was buying Whole Food pet food versus like regular grocery store. I'm like, your dog is going to be fine with eating any level of kibble, by the way. Like, this is true even after pandemic hit and she was a bartender, so then she had no job and no savings. Like, she was worried about being home. Still went to Whole Foods for her 3 pets. So maybe they're onto something. But I'm going to bring it up to the Greenies people, though, for sure. I think they owe me an explanation, is what I think.
I agree. All right, Greenies, you're on record of owing us an explanation. And by the way, we have a podcast if you'd like to sponsor us.
Just so you know.
We'll sell Greenies all day long if you would like to sponsor us.
I have only one problem with you, and that's that you have only one ad and that you're advertising on the wrong platform. If your platform changes to my podcast and you get another ad in the mix, you've got my undying support.
We will run that ad 6 or 8 times a show.
GRENIES.
So, Kalyn, I did my homework for Warner Brothers Discovery, ticker symbol WBD. And being me, of course, I went to their filings. And side note, on their page where you look up their SEC filings, it has a picture of Batman. So that's pretty sweet, I thought. When you go read their filings, what I was really interested in was their segment income, because I want to just see how different parts of their business were going. They have 3 major areas, really. Yeah. The first one's called studios. The second one is networks. And the third one is DTC. That's direct to consumer.
Okay.
So studios are the guys making the Batman movies. So they're making the movies and then selling and licensing that content, basically. Networks is all their networks, and I'll tell you about the roster of networks here in a minute. And then direct to consumer is their streaming. So mostly that's their Max. It used to be HBO, but now it's Max.
I didn't know Warner Brothers owned Max.
Yeah, HBO. I'm going to show you in a minute. They own all sorts of stuff. But you can see this quarter, basically, the studio revenue's down a little over 10%. The networks revenue is down not quite 10%, right? Direct to consumer is up a little. As you would guess, I didn't know how studios would do. People making content, you could see continuing to do well in this environment.
I would think so. I think they may just be down because of the writer's strike.
Maybe that's the reason for that one. The networks is all their television channels, their linear television, right? And so that's the part you expect to drop, and in fact it's dropping pretty well. And then direct to consumer is up a hair. They haven't done great. The real problem comes down here, right? They used to make a little bit of money. These are millions, so let's not pretend this isn't a whole bunch of money, but 607 million is tons. But that was 3 months last year. This year is 184. So they really took a beating in these 3 months. Again, maybe they're light on content because of the strike, but I don't know how long you get to use that. This is profit now we're looking at. So studios used to be a pretty meaningful contributor, obviously not the big boy, but a meaningful contributor to profit. Networks is where the profit's at. 2.3 billion, now down to 2.1 billion same quarter this year. And direct to consumer is growing, but this is just like rounding error, 50 to 80 million bucks in EBITDA out of the streaming stuff. So what I wanted to get at was these are the channels and stuff owned by Warner Brothers, right? So yeah, we mentioned HBO, which became and Cinemax, which became Max on the streaming platform. But they got the stuff that was part of Discovery Network, Food Network, HGTV. They have CNN, they have TLC in there, Science Network, Cartoon Network, Animal Planet.
Investigation Discovery, that's ID. That's my crime shows nonstop.
Of course. When I saw this list, I was like, these guys have the waiting room market cornered. You go to the dentist and they're going to have HGTV on there or Food Network. They are crushing the waiting room market. But they also have TBS and TNT. And one of the real jewels in their cap is those stations have access rights to NBA games, right? And the reason they're in the news right now is for two reasons. NBA, the contract is coming to an end. And so now there's a bidding war. There's a battle. Who's going to win the NBA contract? And also they just announced a collaboration with Disney, who owns ESPN, and Fox, who owns Fox Sports Networks. They're going to create this streaming sports platform that they're calling Venue. So the big question here in my mind with Warner Brothers Discovery is, how much do you throw at this NBA thing to keep it? Because if you lose it, your viewership on TBS, TNT, just your value, your profits, all that goes way down. And I don't know what they're going to do in this collaboration, this Venue, if they don't have NBA.
But if they have Disney.
So if you're Disney and you're like, look, I bring ESPN, the great sports brand, and I have some portion of the baseball games, and I have the Big 12 network. I forget what all they have, but I bring this and this. And Warner Brothers, you've lost NBA. What else do you have? Like, suddenly you're not as great a valuable a partner on this collaboration, right?
See, yeah, I guess that sports is, of course, very big business, and so I'm not taking away from that at all. I'm thinking about when I think about the streaming platforms and which become front runners for just streaming videos separate from the sports.
Yep.
Bit. I think that if you've got the Disney offerings, there's lots of people that want to pay for Disney Plus because all the kids programs, blah, blah, blah. And it makes a lot of sense with Discovery Channel because Disney does include the nature shit that they've got. So they make sense together, but pairing that with Max, that becomes appealing to me if I'm going to be choosing between Amazon, Netflix, HBO, Max, whatever. And I don't know if you'd seen, but they also have the channel, the network Rooster Teeth. I just pulled. Yeah, Rooster Teeth. That's right.
Okay. I'm upgrading my rating then to strong buy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's headquartered in Austin, Texas. It is the home of premium dumb content. That is what Rooster Teeth says about themselves.
Can we get picked up by Rooster Teeth?
I would hope so. I may need to send them a letter.
Wait a minute, I got to share this.
Oh no, they're closing down.
21 years. It's the end of Rooster Teeth.
Like, they just closed. Their website and apps officially shut down on May 15th. We're a week behind.
Always the way.
Yeah.
They ran out of dumb things to say about Halo or dumb things to have their characters say. Okay, it is no longer a strong buy. It is now a strong sell.
Yeah. Forget everything that I said.
We are shorting these guys.
Hell yeah, we are. But keep Rooster Teeth afloat.
So back to sport. The thing about sports is this is the last thing. This and the Oscars are like the last thing that people watch live. They watch sports and they watch whatever's playing in the dentist waiting room. So Warner Brothers has conquered the dentist waiting room market. But if you don't have sports, remember that line item on this P&L, that's where most of your revenues and all your profit are coming from that live TV. You lose sports, you're losing a huge chunk of live TV, right?
So for football, there's one of the main networks has football games, right?
Yes, I think they split them. Like NBC has Monday Night Football and they have the
Right.
Super Bowl. But who just won a big chunk of football? Netflix. So
Oh,
the sports
I
moving
that.
over, and Amazon did some sports deal. So sports moving over to those streamers is going to be like the death blow.
You said they're trying to negotiate the NBA deal, yeah?
Yeah, but NBA, I'm sure, is if we could be on Netflix versus, I don't know. Or somebody like Peacock, if you could be on NBC and have both the very strong, because TBS is not NBC, even in the world of linear television. So
Yeah. Well, I
I
think
don't
that
know.
they're all going to start getting snatched up. I think that we're going to see more merging. So NBC, I don't even know where you watch that now. Like
Peacock.
on Peacock. But if you're not a Peacock subscriber, then can you still watch? I don't know.
Because we have Spectrum wireless internet, then it comes with a television bundle, or we add on the television bundle because of sports. Weren't you the one, though, that said basically it was going to turn back into cable, right? Where all these platforms are going to consolidate. Right. And then it's going to be like, I don't want ESPN. I only want home and garden television. And they're going to be like, sorry, you got to buy them all and watch them all. And it's, oh, okay. All that is old is new again.
Yeah, no, we definitely are rinse, wash, repeat at this point, I think, with all the different platforms. But at least I noticed that HBO started having some investigation discovery stuff because of murder stuff. I watched the murder stuff, and now it's available on HBO. Before that, I had to download an app for investigation discovery and then use mom and dad's cable TV login on my TV so that I could watch without we still have to watch commercials, but you can access all the content or whatever. So I'd have to figure out what network everything's on. I'm like, okay, is this a Discovery Channel murder show or an Investigation Discovery Channel murder show or an A&E murder show, and go through each individual, So I'd rather it all be housed together. Now I just go on HBO and they're like, do you want to watch murderous marriages? And I'm like, yes, I do. Like, seduced into violence or whatever, that kind of thing. I'm like, yay. So that's where I feel like it's going to be like, instead of buying cable TV, now you can choose from the 3 different ways that you want to have cable TV. And if you pay extra, then you may not have to have as many ads.
Rant for a separate time, but when you pay and then have to watch ads, that is just...
I know. Crackle is free, at least.
Exactly. If I wanted to watch ads, I'd go over to Crackle. But if I want to watch this thing I'm paying for... If you want
to beat your head with the frying pan, it is free. Amazon just started having on Prime, they prompted me, do you want to pay $2.99 a month to not have ads? And I was like, I already pay for Prime, so I don't want to do that. And now I can't undo it. I don't know how. Now I watch ads on Amazon, which sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
I watch a decent amount of programming on Amazon.
They got a lot of murder shows and naked shows on that one, huh?
Yeah, and then they've got the drag stuff.
Third category in the Kalyn trifecta, yes.
Yeah. And period pieces. They've got the Tudors, which I really like.
So back to Warner Brothers Discovery. We need to decide, are we going to invest in this? So I think if you're investing in hopes they get acquired and absorbed into one of these other companies, or this venue collaboration is effective, or because you like HBO murder shows, or do you short them because Rooster Teeth is gone?
You think that at the end of the day, Amazon and Netflix are going to be the bosses? They're gonna gobble up all whatever.
With
HBO.
the possible exception of Disney. I would say Disney's your third place. Netflix right now is the clear front runner. Then I think Amazon is in the picture. Disney. And then you got Paramount, NBC, and Warner Brothers Discovery. And those guys, those are big names in linear media, but in streaming, they're the small guys, I think. Because you're not subscribing to Paramount unless you got this one show you want to watch, and then you're unsubscribing. And same thing for Peacock, I think, right?
I don't know, because I just use mom and dad stuff. Because I can log in and yeah, I don't know. That's my solution to
I don't know either. Yeah. I get so damn confused. Every time a show's on, I'm like, which platform do I need to go to for this show that I want to see?
And
that
this is great. Yeah, and I have a Fire Stick, which is an Amazon product, but anytime I search for a TV show, it'll show me any different platform, whether it's Amazon or if it's on Netflix,
Yeah.
if it's on BBC. It does give me all the weird things too, like all the things you didn't even know existed.
But from a guy who actually pays for my own streaming service, this is basically...
I share with you guys. So that's actually mom and dad's too. But
That's true. So we share some buddies, but listen, all right, Netflix always on. Like that's not one we ever stop paying for. Amazon, you're always on because you're paying for Prime anyway. And then Disney and all the rest that I just mentioned, we're going to go on Paramount. If we're really into Yellowstone, we might go on and subscribe until the season's over. Then we're off. Same thing with Apple, Ted Lasso. Same thing with all these other platforms.
Mhm.
And I am totally representative of the American consumer, obviously.
Well, you are in Ohio. Say like Ohio, however Ohio votes, that's how the country votes.
That's it. And I used to give my dog greenies until they got too expensive.
Greenis, yeah.
And
save so much money if you just watched on Crackle. You got rid of these streaming services. You'd have plenty of money to buy your dog the fancy food.
That's the play. You just looked into the Matrix, Kalyn. The numbers are coming down, and you're like,
I understand how Chicken Soup for the Soul and their subsidiaries work. I feel like that's my next job, CEO of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Maybe we should write them a letter and ask if the position's available.
Yeah, like, what's your CEO? Have you been pleased with your CEO's performance?
I could make a very good CEO, and let me give you the reasons why.
Yeah. I'm excellent with project management, specifically in healthcare.
I suffered through 9 hours of Crackle and its commercials.
I can recite the entire Greenies commercial. You tell me which version you want. You want short, long, middle? I'm ready.
All right. So did you get all the answers to all your questions to make a buy or sell decision on Warner Brothers?
I'm trying to figure out who I think it'll come down to at the end of the day. I feel like everybody's going to get bundled up or whatever. And I think you're right. Like, I saw something that had the amount of content available on each platform. I remember it being Amazon, Netflix. Those two were like pretty far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, Apple TV was really low, and I don't think that Apple's going to keep putting too much money in that. Disney. I think those three are my top three horses, if I had to guess.
I tend to agree with that, and so if I did bet on Warner Brothers Discovery, it would be I'm betting these guys get acquired. So this, I think, would be the profile of your investment. Is it would probably you'd lose money, it would be a drag on the portfolio for a while, and then one day you wake up, bam, and it's tripled, and your value has shot through the roof. So if you can live with that, and that could be 3 months, they could be ready to announce that next week, or it could be 3 years from now after Warner Brothers bleeds away their linear TV slowly over time and then just reaches the point of desperation.
And I guess it's hard to say if this current talk with Disney actually means that it'll lead to an acquisition on that front, or if it's just a partnership, some sort of whatever.
Yeah, you could easily see a thing where Venue's done great, and then there's a press release, and they're like, so now Disney's going to acquire the rights to all the Venue content. If you're short, you're like, yeah, I know that's going to happen someday, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to ride this stock. I think it's going to sink, and I think they're going to lose this NBA contract, and it's going to crush them. There's going to be a big drop.
Yeah, I guess if Rooster Teeth is...
We know what, they abandoned ship.
Like,
so
right. They're like, not only are we not about this being acquired, now we're just going to shut it all down. Forget it. We are abandoning ship on the entire company. We are no longer a thing. It's hard for me to bet against the Warner Brothers people, though, because you know how I feel about my HBO. Where do you land?
When I think our thesis has got to include the dentist reception area. I feel like this argument hasn't gotten a lot of traction, but somebody has got to provide the content for waiting areas, and that means Food Network.
Right. As heard on the Serial podcast, talked about this for the Cleveland courts, what they played in the...
That's what made me think of it, the Serial podcast.
Yeah, that's the Food Network, because it was the only thing that wouldn't lead to bickering and such.
Okay. When you've got a rock-solid property like that, when you've got Food Network, the only thing you can play in court systems, Like that is an anchor property, I think, that you've gotta get behind. Okay, I think that settles it. We're long, Warner Brothers.
I think so.
And, all right, so let's skip the what the hell's in Kalyn's portfolio segment this week. We will get back to that again next week. But,
I think we need to invest in greenies.
Yeah, next week, that's what we're going to look at next week is greenies. We're going to see what the heck we can find at the bottom of that. I'll take the lead on that.
Yeah, I'll write my passionate, strong-worded emails.
To Crackle and to greenies. And actually, this could be market manipulation because your letters might bolster the stock of greenies. So think about that.
That is likely. Probably.
And then you're also watching the 13-minute long STD video.
That's
so
right.
You get a chance to suffer through that.
See how much Kalyn and I have in common.
That is our homework for next week.
Chicken Soup for the Soul also to see if they need a new CEO.
Oh, I forgot about the Chicken Soup CEO letter.
Yeah, I'll send my resume and also a link to our podcast. So you're like, here's what you can look forward to from me.
And if that doesn't convince him, nothing will.
I don't think so either.
All right, let's cue the closing music here.
Wait, are we buying a stock though?
Warner Brothers, long. We're going long on Warner Brothers. In case you're not the only one who's no longer paying attention to this podcast. Anyway, if you've made it this far and you're still, for some reason, still a fan, we would invite you to rate and review us, subscribe, and if you have any sternly worded letters you'd like to send or comments, recommendations, guest suggestions, please send those to Robert and Kalyn, Kalyn, Get Rich, all one word, at gmail.com. Send us a personal email. You will get a personal response.
Use the link that we've got for the Mountain Dew Spark Zero email. You are welcome to copy and paste that and send it back to PepsiCo to see if we can't get Mountain Dew Spark Zero back on the shelves and sponsorship
in Houston market.
That's
the
right.
Double whammy. The double whammy. We'll post a letter to the Facebook page, and then we can link to that in the show notes.
Okay.
Kaylin, anything else before we call it a day?
Nothing besides this is not meant to be investment advice, so don't follow our suggestions. Probably do the opposite if you're smart.
Yeah, bad idea to go long on Warner Brothers, I promise. Cool. I'll see you later. Kaylin, goodbye. See you listeners
Have a good one.
Talk to you later.
Bye.